And the question I have for my accountant is, what records do I have to keep for my meal, vehicle, and travel expenses?
Meal, vehicle, and travel expenses are common deductions for businesses, but if you don't properly document these expenses, you could find your deductions denied by the IRS. Subject to various rules and limits, business meals, vehicle, and travel expenses may be deductible, whether you pay for the expenses directly or reimburse employees for them. Deductibility depends on a variety of factors, but generally the expenses must be ordinary and necessary and directly related to the business.
Proper documentation, however, is one of the most critical requirements. All too often when the IRS scrutinizes these deductions, taxpayers don't have the necessary documentation. Some simple steps can help ensure you have a documentation that will pass muster with the IRS. You generally must have receipts, canceled checks, or bills that show amounts and dates of business expenses. If you're deducting vehicle expenses using the standard mileage rate for this year, log business miles driven.
Be certain to record the business purpose of each expense. This is especially important if on the surface an expense could appear to be a personal one. If the business person of an expense is clear from the surrounding circumstances, the IRS might not require a written explanation, but it's probably better to err on the side of caution and document the business purpose. If you reimburse employees for expenses, make sure they provide you with proper documentation. Also, be aware that the reimbursements will be treated as taxable compensation to the employee, subject to income tax and FICA withholding, unless you make them via an accountable plan.
Don't recreate expense logs at year end or when you receive an IRS deficiency notice. Take a moment to record the details in a log or diary at the time of the event or soon after. The IRS considers timely kept records more reliable. Plus, it's easier to track expenses as you go than try to recreate a log later. For expense reimbursements, require employees to submit monthly expense reports, which is also generally a requirement for an accountable plan.
You've probably heard that under the new Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, entertainment expenses are no longer deductible. It is true that those expenses have been eliminated. For more information about what meal, vehicle, and travel expenses are and aren't deductible, and how to properly document expenses, please contact us.